Guys, what's going on? My name is Louis, and God bless to every single one of you. Today is February 6th, 2026, and welcome to the Grand Supreme News Channel. Guys, we have an urgent breaking news coming out. US accuses the Red Dragon of secret nuclear testing as it calls for broader arms control deal. Now, I want to show you this one really quick. So, a U.S. Gov official alleges that the Red Dragon secretly carried out nuclear explosive tests, including one that reportedly took place during the 2020 lockdown. Alright, guys, before I start, for those of you that want to send us letters or prayer requests, you can send it to me, Louis Santiago, or my wife, Jessica Santiago, at 3432 US Highway 19, number 2, Holiday, Florida, 34691. Guys, for those of you that want to help and support the channel, Patreon, $5 a month, we get you access to our live stream. We go live once a week. We talk about things that we cannot talk about in this platform. Also, I just posted some videos today over Patreon. You may want to take those videos out. Very important stuff is coming out right now. Now, these videos are videos that I cannot show on this platform. A lot of people are getting hit with certain videos that is being played on this platform. So that's the reason why I post a lot of videos on Patreon. But again, I want to thank every single one of you for your support. Also, thank you so much for the prayers. Last night, I had sleepless night. My nose was stuffed up. My throat was killing me. It's just brutal. I barely slept last night. It was really bad. It was really bad. So thank you so much for your prayers. And it's like sleep deprived or something. It's just brutal. But thank you so much for the prayer, guys. I'm dealing with some kind of cold here. All right, so there was something that went down during the lockdown. I mean, you guys know what happened in 2020, right? So that's something serious. Under Secretary of State Thomas, he said that the Red Dragon has conducted nuclear explosive tests, including preparing for tests with designated yields in the hundreds of tons. Now, the Red Dragon has used decoupling, a method to decrease the effectiveness of seismic monitoring to hide its activities from the world. The Red Dragon conducted one such yield-producing nuclear test on June 22nd of 2020. Wow. All right, so, and then a few months later, Joe became commander. And I believe Joe knew what was going on. Biden, I believe he knew what was going on. He just didn't want to, deal with that type of stuff. But now that Donald is commander, Donald and his team are finding out all this crazy stuff that is going on. And it's really sad because we had a commander that did absolutely nothing about it. The only thing he did was give money to Zelensky. Money, 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 money. He barely did anything for the sleeping giant citizens. And I'm referring to Joe, the former leader. All right, so the U.S. accused the Red Dragon Wednesday of conducting at least one secret nuclear test as Washington continued its push for a new arms control treaty that would include the Red Dragon in addition to Moscow and Washington. That's the reason why Donald might have let that nuclear treaty stuff, he might have let it die because he wants to start a new one. But this time, the Red Dragon will be part of it too. All right, so I think Donald let it die off the treaty, let it expired. I can reveal that the U.S. Gov is aware, so the U.S. Gov know what's going on. The U.S. Gov is aware that the Red Dragon has conducted nuclear explosive tests, including preparing for tests with designated yields in the hundreds of tons. Thomas, a Undersecretary of State for Arms Control and International Security, told a UN conference on disarmament in Geneva, Switzerland on Friday. The Red Dragon has used decoupling, a method to decrease the effectiveness of seismic monitoring to hide its activity from the world. Wow. So once again, it says here, Dinano added on X, noting that the Red Dragon had conducted one such test on June 22nd, 2020, as the C-19 2020 forced much of the world into lockdowns. So something big went down during lockdown. They tested nuclear. Man, that's crazy. That is absolute crazy. Maybe it was all planned. So they tested nuke. Hmm. The Red Dragon ambassador on disarmament, Shen, did not directly address Donano's charge, but said that the U.S. continued in its statement to hype up the so-called Red Dragon nuclear threat. Now, the Red Dragon formally opposes such false narrative. The U.S. is the culprit for the aggravation of the arms race. The U.S. allegation came one day after the expiration of the 2010 New START treaty between the U.S. and the Bear, leaving both countries without any binding constraint on their deployment of strategic missiles and warheads for the first time since the signing of the Strategic Arms Limitation talks back in 1972. Hmm. Today, the U.S. faces threats from multiple nuclear powers. There you go. In short, a bilateral treaty with only one nuclear power is simply inappropriate in 2026 going forward, said Donano, warning that the Red Dragon is projected to have more than 1,000 nuclear warheads by 2030. This is the reason why Donald said, I think it's time for the U.S. to start testing their nuclear, to start doing their nuclear testing. And he did mention that other countries were doing it too. And this was 8 months ago. So this is what Donald was referring to. The Red Dragon is also testing nuclear. We should be testing ours too. All right, give me a second here. In response, Shen said that the Red Dragon will not take part in trilateral negotiation at this time, adding, in this new era, we hope that the U.S. will abandon Cold War thinking and embrace common and cooperative security. I mean, they got the nerve to say that, but they just tested nuke back in 2020 during lockdown. It says here, meanwhile, the Russians and the U.S. negotiators discussed the issue in the UAE, where the Bear, Ukrainian, and the Sleeping Giant delegation held 2 days of talks on a peace settlement in Ukraine. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry told reporters Friday. Now, there is an understanding, and they talked about it in Abu Dhabi, that both parties will take responsible position, Peskov said, and both parties realize the need to start talks on the issue as soon as possible. This is not looking good. So you have all these countries just basically, they're testing their stuff behind closed doors. Everything started during lockdown in 2020. Wow. All right, give me a second here, guys. Let me just pull up some more information. So that's the reason why Donald said, I think it's time for us to start testing our nuclears. Secret nuke testing. Wow. All right, give me a second here, guys. Let me just search for some more news on this one here. Hold on, we got a news here about Iran talking about nuclear. Look at this one here. RT is putting out this information. U.S. slaps sanction on Persia hours after nuclear talks. Sanctions to combat illicit traders of Persian oil and the Shadow Fleet. So once again, the oil stuff companies and Shadow Fleet were hit with sanction. Today, the Department of State is sanctioning multiple entities, individuals, and vessels to stem the flow of the revenue that the regime in Tehran uses to support, I'm gonna skip that name, abroad and repress its citizen. As part of this action, the Department of State is identifying 14 Shadow Fleet vessels as property of entities involved in the transportation of Persia petroleum products, and petrochemical product. And furthermore, the Department of State is sanctioning 15 entities that have traded in Persian origin crude oil, petroleum products, or petrochemical products, as well as two associated individuals. Time and time again, the Persian Gulf has prioritized its destabilizing behavior over the safety and security of its own citizens, as demonstrated by the regime mass takeout of peaceful protesters. The sleeping giant will continue to act against the network of shippers and traders involved in the transport and acquisition of Persian crude oil, petroleum products, and petrochemical products, which constitute the regime primary source of income, profits. All departments of state targets are being sanctioned pursuant to Executive Order 13846, which authorizes and reimposes certain sanctions with respect to Persia. All right, so that's one of the latest breaking news. Um, so we do have some breaking news when it comes to Iran. So yeah, we do have some breaking news when it comes to Iran. That's going to be my next one, guys. It's going to be over at the Rio GS News. All right, so we got some stuff going down. I mean, it's not going down, but something strange is happening near Area 51. All right, so that's going to be a video for later on. I'm just waiting for more updates. So, top secret U.S. Air Force jet spotted near Area 51. All right, so we're going to get to all that. That's going to be later today. Hmm. Um, I want to bring this one up really quick here. This was 9 hours ago. New York Post just posted. Persia seizes oil tankers, threatened massacre in Strait of Hormuz hours before U.S. talks. That's the reason why they got slapped with sanctions. That's the reason why the U.S. slapped them with sanctions. You see this boat? They like banana boats and stuff like that, but these boats, they got some stuff. Oh, they got some stuff. So they just seized an oil tanker, and now the U.S. has slapped them with a sanction. At the same time, there's that nuclear talk that's going on right now. This is not good. See, this is the one. U.S. imposes new oil sanctions on Persia moments after talks. So things are not looking good between the U.S. and Persia. It's not looking good. Um, hmm. All right, so I got another video coming up. It's gonna be over at the Real GS News. All right, so make sure you go to that channel. Once again, notification bell are not being sent out. I mean, notifications are not being sent out. I repeat, notifications are not being sent out. So you guys already know, like around noon, I post 2 videos. These 2 videos at noon, you're not gonna receive notification. But once it hits 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern time, that's when you guys start getting my notifications. Now the platform, again, I don't know what they're doing, but boy oh boy, a lot of people got hit yesterday. Please pray for us. Continue praying for us. And I want to thank every single one of you for your support, either through Cash App, PayPal, or Patreon. Thank you so much. Your support is what keeps us on air. Thank you so much for watching, guys. God bless you all. Till next time later. Peace.